Welcome back to the State-Sanctioned podcast. My name is Louis Southard, the incredibly famous writer. And as always, I am joined by Jonah Marcus. Say hello, Jonah.
Hello. How's everyone doing?
And today, we've got a very important announcement. This is our first ever horny episode. Are you ready, Jonah? Are you ready for the horny episode?
I am so fucking moist.
This is what we've been building up to. This is episode 5. This was our original goal ever since we made this podcast. We said if we made it to 5 episodes, we'd make it to the horny episode. And here we are.
Yeah, I'm really proud of us. I can't believe we've hit this incredible milestone. Thank you all like 2 of you for your support.
The summer of 2021 is also known as the summer of sex. Isn't that what you told me?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Who told you that? Did you read that from a fortune cookie?
I mean, it was some dude with fat vibes.
Fat vibes. Can we talk about that on the show?
Yeah, we have to. I feel like we should.
Okay. Our friend, our mutually hated friend, who we've discussed on every single episode of the podcast.
Oh yeah, obligatory mentioning him.
Yeah, I think that has to be a staple at this point. Then we bring him up every episode.
Yeah.
Jonah and I did this funny thing, a hilarious. Well, it didn't even start out as a thing. I just sent a photo of me looking downward, smiling. So it's like a very unflattering angle. You know, of just you looking down at your phone. It's just a stupid little selfie. And I sent that into our group chat. And then Jonah responded with the same exact type of photo. And then it became like this wholesome little thing. And then we invited our third friend, he who shall not be named. And he... we told him, come on, now you take the photo. This is going to be funny. And he told us, I physically can't.
I cannot take a picture of myself looking down at my phone at this present moment.
And then we asked why, and then he said, it's impossible. And then we're like, okay, you're just being a fucking loser now. And we were talking about that before the show started. And what was it? I think you were asking me a question, and then I interrupted you because I thought I knew what you were going to say.
Yeah.
And what I said was like oh wait, okay, I want to pull up because I wrote it exactly down. I don't know, something about him gives me fat vibes. And we've just been trying to figure out what fat vibes means. And we've not come up with an answer yet. So we'll let you know on the next episode.
Yeah. We probably won't.
Because this is the horny special. We can't be talking about fat things.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Well, Jonah, you want to celebrate the horny special, will you tell the audience what this podcast is all about?
Sure. So normally we're a little bit less horny, but the basic premise still remains. He and I, Louis, my good friend, the incredibly famous writer, Louis and I, we come to this podcast every week with some news or just something political related, and we just kind of talk about it, and we just sort of see where it goes. And it should be mildly copacetic. It generally is, wouldn't you say?
Most of the time, we talk about a topic for maybe 5 minutes and then talk about an entirely different topic for 20 minutes.
Yes, that's typically how it goes.
That is how it goes. But this week, this was a pretty jam-packed week for politics. I suppose we should start it off by at least mentioning, I don't think it's either of our topics, but I think it's worth mentioning the conflict right now in Israel and Palestine is still ongoing.
Yeah, I'm almost reluctant to call it a conflict. It's more of like a asymmetrical, like, you know. Oh
yeah, it's like a complete and utter devastation of a group of human beings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're acting in self-defense. You know, they have the entirety of NATO behind them as they're like they're defending themselves.
$735 million worth of weapons.
Yeah, for self-defense against people that are like a tenth of their power.
But I believe tonight, ceasefire negotiations have begun.
Yes, apparently Hamas and the IDF agreed to a ceasefire. I got to be honest with you, I'm not terribly optimistic it's going to last very long, but you know, I'll take what I can get. You know what I mean?
But let's look at the countless of lives that were lost. Hundreds and hundreds of Palestinians have died, and 12 Israelis have died.
Well, it sounds like they were acting in self-defense. They threw a rock and missed. I got in my fighter jet and demolished the entire street.
Don't you know those 12 Israelis were worth more than even 10 of those dead Palestinians?
Yeah.
Haven't you done the math?
Oh my God!
It's just how it is, Jonah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we should at least talk about. Okay, let me just reiterate. Let me just spell it out for people. Yeah, it's a human rights crisis over there, and it's the Palestinians are completely being undermined and just ignored by Western civilization.
And meanwhile, the United States and other Western nations are essentially aiding in ethnic cleansing uncritically.
Or not even acknowledging it.
Yeah. You're just not even acknowledging that they're doing something wrong. Just the duh position is that you support Israel literally no matter what they do. Which I think that's the worst part about it. It's like the people who really have the power to make change aren't even really questioning or pretending to care about any of this, which is really just the most heart-wrenching part in my mind.
You know who made a really impassioned speech in support of the Palestinians?
Who?
Bernard Sanders.
Oh, classic. I would expect nothing less from Bernie.
Yeah, I watched it. I don't watch much like political what's the word? Conference, you know, when they're actually in Congress and talking over their points.
Yeah.
But when he does it, I always stop and watch for some reason. Cuz I just like him as a public speaker.
Yeah. I mean,
he actually seems to give a damn with what he's saying.
Right.
And I stopped to watch his, and his is just completely going against the military deal of trying to provide them even more aid or more weapons.
I heard that he and AOC were trying to force a vote on whether or not the U.S. can sell Israel bombs in the future.
I don't think that's what it was about. I think it was.
Yeah, no, I had heard something about that. I don't know if that's what
that would sound about right.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. No, but I remember watching that, and I'm like, this guy could have been president.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy. You know, like those fucking Hillary supporters that are still bitching and moaning about how 2016 was stolen from her, blah, 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 blah. I don't like that. I don't want to be that guy or that person. But it just sucks that he didn't even have a shot because he's like the only one who cares about anything that our generation cares about.
Which is weird when you consider he's almost 80.
Have you ever seen that video of him talking to goths at the mall?
No. Wait, what?
It's from the 80s where he's just at the mall and he's like, we're here at the mall and we're going to talk to our citizens of Vermont. And then it's just him walking around and then he just sees a bunch of goth kids. It's like, oh, there's some people. And just completely innocent, wholesome. Like, oh, it's like he doesn't even acknowledge that they're any different from anyone else. He's like, oh, there's some people. And then he just walks up and it's like, hey, what do you think about politics? And then they're confused at first, but then they just start talking to him and they get really comfortable around him. And it's like the most wholesome video on the internet.
Oh my God, that's awesome. I've never seen that.
Look it up right now. It's so good. Don't watch it, of course. But it's just the most wholesome thing ever of him just hanging out with goth kids.
Bernie Sanders goth. Yeah, here we go. Bernie Sanders interviews punks, 1988.
Okay, punks. Sorry, my bad. I got the wrong subculture.
Ugh, unbelievable.
I'm a poser. I gotta eat shit and die.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, Israel and Palestine.
Yeah, this is what this is what he meant when he said 5 minutes of the actual topic and then 20 minutes of like unrelated shit.
Well, I mean, we already talked about it last week.
Yeah.
We pretty much gave our opinions. I just want to provide some updates. We've mentioned the ceasefire. Let's talk about this, because I imagine you may have an opinion on it, and then we can move on to our actual topics. The bombing of the Associated Press building.
Oh my god. All right. So it's actually a very common authoritarian tactic to like attack the press. You know, their cover story, as their cover story always is well, there's Hamas. Hamas was in there. Now, I mean, I do find it a little hard to believe that Hamas was operating so subtly that nobody fucking had any idea they were there. But I feel like if you want to make it look like you're not attacking the press for your own benefit, you provide that evidence publicly, like after, like
Right.
either immediately before or immediately after.
Especially when you're under scrutiny by the whole world.
Yeah, when you're like when people are calling you like an apartheid state and not even necessarily wrong about it. But yeah, like it's really I think what that was about was them just saying, listen, be careful when you talk about us. We can level any building in Gaza. Just
right.
you know, chill.
Did you see the Onion?
Sorry,
Did
go
you see
ahead.
the Onion article where they said like, we dare Israel to bomb our headquarters, and it's just like a fictional building with an onion, like a Daily Planet onion sculpture on the top of the building.
No, I haven't seen that. That's pretty funny though.
Yeah, that was funny. That's why we're not laughing.
Yeah, dude, I love authoritarianism. I love human rights violations.
I love it, and it's okay. It's okay.
Isn't
okay for
isn't
them.
attacking the press a war crime? I mean, on top of everything else.
Oh yeah, because the UN's gonna do something about it.
Yeah. Well, the U.S. like has unilateral veto power, so of course they can't do anything about it.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a war crime.
I feel like it would be, but then again, who knows?
Yeah, it sounds like something that would be a war crime.
You know what is a war crime? Their use of white phosphorus.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, you know what that is, right?
No.
Well, yeah,
Is it a gas?
it's some kind of like metal, I think. I don't know. It's some kind of compound.
Is it a thermite type of thing?
It's similar, yeah. When it lights on fire, it does not go out. So, like,
Oh.
you know, yeah, people get covered in white phosphorus. I mean, their bone marrow, like, is charred. You know, depending on, like how bad it ends up being. Yeah. Like, that's a war crime. That I know for damn sure. But, yeah. I mean, basically everything the IDF does on a regular basis is a war crime.
Have you also noticed that none of the pro-Palestine protests in the United States are not getting any media coverage?
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I found that to be odd because I somebody mentioned that there was like a 250,000 person march in Detroit that were supporting Palestine, and there wasn't a single like news report.
Yeah, no. It reminds me of how in India a few months ago there was the largest general strike in human history. 250 million people were on strike, and like the Western press barely touched it.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because it's like I think if people don't know about that type of thing, they're not going to feel compelled to do anything themselves. Because
I guess that's true.
All it takes is one person to stand up to kind of drive change, to drive other people to
I
make
guess
change.
it's a good thing we have the internet now.
Yeah.
Where we can actually know about the things that are happening that the media won't tell us.
Yeah, the media does not have a monopoly on information anymore, which is, I mean, that's always a good thing.
Yeah. Well, okay, I think we talked about the big things about the new updates, Israel and Palestine. As of right now, it's a ceasefire. We're not sure if that's going to last. Still, it's a fucking tragedy over there, and
Yeah.
it's over there. It's a tragedy over there, and it's a tragedy over here because it's just this weird kind of feeling knowing that our country does not care in a weird way
They're
about like a more so human dilemma. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, not only do they not care, they're also actively contributing. To the problem.
They're enabling authoritarianism.
Yep.
Which is odd. That's so odd for us to be like, oh, we're the pro-freedom, pro-liberty country. And
Who us, bro? We're all about like liberty and like justice for all, dude. I don't know what you mean.
Dude.
That's why they support two genocides, dude.
Freedom is going to fucking 7-Eleven and buying as many Red Bulls as I can and drinking them all before 9 p.m. Because my bedtime is at 11 p.m. Because my parents need me to go to bed early. But I'm better than you because I'm white, even though my parents make me go to bed at 10 p.m.
What? Oh my god, we're bringing him up again, huh?
Yeah, this is all. Yeah, let me explain that. Our friend that we love to bring up on this show is a racist. And, maybe we shouldn't call him our friend and then say he's a racist. Our acquaintance, who's racist and is the master race, the supposed master race, also has to go to bed at like 9:30 p.m. because his parents make him. And he's an adult.
He literally is an adult.
Yeah, and he looks like more of an adult than you or I.
Yeah. But he looks
like he's 52.
He also looks like half our age.
He looks half our age.
He looks older than us and younger than us at the same time.
No, he looks just flat out older than us.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we gotta change the subject because this podcast is just gonna turn into us bullying a fucking loser.
Smearing someone who's not even here.
A smear campaign.
Okay.
Okay, Jonah, hit us with your first topic.
All right. So this is from about 2 weeks ago. The Utah Supreme Court upholds the rights of trans people to change their name and sex on their state records. So basically, on your like birth certificate and on other records, like you can actually like change your name if you're trans and like your gender to like match your current identity.
Okay.
And yeah, no, like this might not seem as that big a deal to some people, but I think it's important to remember that like if we're talking about the rights and the perception of a particular group, having a legal precedent is a really big deal. I
imagine that's also like an emotional thing.
Yeah, for sure. Like you are recognized as who you really are, including on a legal level now.
Yeah.
And so that is always like it's validating both for the person in terms of like their own identity and also like in terms of like their acceptance from others. Because people definitely have like a status quo bias, Like for support for gay marriage upshot pretty significantly after Obergefell. And I don't think that's a coincidence at all. It's like this is the status quo, so just leave it as it is. And I think this will, in many ways, lead to similar things.
Let me hit you with this though. Did you know that Tennessee recently passed a thing? They either passed it or they're promoting a law in which businesses have to put up signs saying whether or not they allow trans customers.
What?
Right. Here, I want to pull it up if we're going to be talking about trans rights.
Holy shit. I did not hear about that.
That's what I thought you were going to bring up when you were talking about trans people, but I'm glad that yours is much more positive.
Yeah. Sure. Because my other story is not quite as positive. But
trans law sign. Okay. Yeah, okay. Tennessee governor signs 2 new anti-trans bathroom bill. Is this the one into law? Is this what I'm right? Oh wait, Jesus Christ, stupid time. I hate going. Okay, let me talk about the news websites for a second, because I hate you go into and you want to look up an article. This is why newspapers and magazines complain like, oh, why don't we have anyone? Or how come people don't get their news from legitimate websites and they go to like extremist weird websites like Breitbart or Stormfront. Like, how come they go there? That's because they go there because when you go onto the mainstream media websites, there's either a paywall or 10,000 different ads popping in front of the article.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, okay. Tennessee will become the first state in the United States to require businesses and government facilities open to the public to post a sign if they let transgender people use multi-person bathrooms, locker rooms, changing rooms associated with their gender identity.
Oh my god. I mean, that's a no-brainer. If you are a trans woman, you are a woman. You use the women's bathroom. If you're a trans man, you're a man. You use the man's bathroom.
I thought this was much more discriminatory. I thought this was flat out like, oh no, we're going against trans people on all accounts.
Yeah, no.
But what's sadder than that is it's the lower level. It's the bathroom debate yet again.
Right. Like,
which is so weird. Like, that's the most minute thing. Like, oh, but what about our fucking bathrooms?
Bathrooms and the women's sports. Those two things.
Yeah, it's like, what about the bathrooms? It's like, who gives a shit?
So, well, people who think that, like, you're going to see a trans woman's penis? Like, I don't know about you, Louis, but as a cis dude, I've been using public bathrooms my whole life, and no one's ever seen my penis. And I've never seen anyone else's. Like,
I've seen another person's penis in the male bathroom, but it wasn't by choice, and I'm pretty sure they were schizophrenic and homeless. So,
all right,
yeah, you gotta love New York City.
Okay,
but for the most part, no, I've not seen other people's genitals in the bathroom.
Yeah, I just...
Typically, when I go to the bathroom in a public place, I don't really worry about the other people in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Anyway, so as of right now, it's seeming that the bill's already being attacked by several LGBTQ+ rights groups.
As I would imagine.
Right, and it's already facing constitutional constitutional challenges. Yeah, they're looking at it as basically another civil rights violation.
Oh, for sure. I mean, equal protection under the law, the 14th Amendment. I mean, that's about as far off from that as you can possibly get. Having a law that mandates you allows you discrimination, and you have to say that, holy shit.
Right. It's such a sad thing. Like, it's another step back, isn't it? Where let's put signs up.
It's a step back, and it's a step back over something stupid too, like the bathroom debate, like you said. Like, oh my god, it's like you're being an asshole, but you're also being an asshole with the lowest hanging fruit imaginable.
That's true. Well, I guess this is kind of what we were talking about a couple episodes back about the culture war, where all these fucking alt-right people, or just conservatives in general, can only cling on to the smallest little things, so they can try to make a big deal out of it. And we already talked about it, where it's the idea of confronting a small thing, so you can hypothesize it into a larger thing and try to gain more traction, I guess, because then it's like a tiny victory, but in the way you've portrayed it, it's like it's a huge victory to you and your fucking acolytes,
right?
Because you told them all this was such a big deal, and it's another victory for fucking the Adam and Eve. Good for you.
Right.
Anyway, there's some additional things in here. It says the governor has also signed legislation to require school districts to alert parents 30 days in advance before students are taught about sexual orientation or gender identity, as well as parents can choose to opt out their student from the lesson.
Isn't the entire... It's just... I don't understand why people are so opposed to their kids learning that gay and trans people exist, because for example, say a kid goes over to his friend's house and his friend has two dads. That might seem weird to him if he's not familiar with the concept of sometimes men love men or women love women. You know what I mean?
It's just the protection of ignorance.
Right.
That's all they're trying to do. They're trying to keep the real world away from their children, so they can maintain this fucking illusionary binary that has been purported for decades.
Yeah.
In the American school system. But it's not even just that. Like, you know, you could argue even before this, what is it? Sex education. That's the other thing that, like, these schools and religious nuts like allow certain kids to opt out depending on the school you're in.
Right. Oh yeah, like just abstinence only, because that, like, you can show them all the evidence in the world.
Don't even touch. Good thing this is the horny episode, so we could promote abstinence.
No, but it's like if you're you know, you can show these people all the evidence in the world that, like, for example, abstinence doesn't work as a method. It just doesn't. They're still going to insist, like, no, I have to do it. I got to do it. It's wrong if I don't do it.
I remember learning in school that people with a lot less sex education are at higher risk of having children, like early and
STDs.
STDs, yeah.
Yeah, no. But it's almost as if teenagers fuck.
Yeah.
And teaching them how to fuck in a way that keeps them safe actually helps them fuck in a way that keeps them safe. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's almost as if you tell people about the risks of something, it makes them more cautious when doing it.
Yeah, the risks and how to mitigate the risks.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh, that's wild.
Yeah.
It's almost as if when they learn something, they have a better understanding of the subject.
Well, yeah, right.
It's almost as if it's bad to keep someone closed-minded and locked away from the reality of a situation.
Well, because you know how these people think of, like, women, right? Like, women are...
Oh, they don't think about them at all. That's the answer.
Well, no, because, like, think of it this way. They think, in their little minds, no matter how much evidence is shoved in their face, that, like, women are gonna, like, these girls are gonna save themselves for marriage, and guys are just...
Jonah, that's Daddy's little girl you're talking about.
Yeah.
When she brings her boyfriend.
The girls are gonna save themselves for marriage, and the guys are gonna fuck around with all the girls who are not saving themselves for marriage, even though the girls...
Let me tell you, when my daughter, fucking Louisa Jr. Southard comes to me with her boyfriend, I'm gonna fucking hold my fucking rifle up to his head, and I'm gonna tell her, you treat my fucking princess with respect, and don't even think about touching her ever, because only I can think about touching her, because I'm the only man that she needs, because I'm just so well adjusted. Me with my fucking guns and my fucking awesome fucking happy life.
But anyway. The point I was trying to make was that, like...
Anyway, I gotta stop talking about my personal life on the podcast.
The point I was trying to make is that, like...
Wait, can I just clarify what I'm getting?
Yes.
That's another thing what I wanted to talk about. That's another thing, and it's consistent with conservative mentality. I think this is all compiled together with this overall topic. With in regards to women, I wanted to bring this up because you mentioned, like, we got to look at the female perspective too, of how in these conservative households, it's almost trying to turn, like, their daughters into asexual beings.
Asexual until it's convenient for a man.
Right. Asexual, like it's just asexual idealization, and they can't learn about sex ed or anything. But then there's wait, let me finish.
Okay.
There's also the hypocritical male, like the son perspective, where, oh, my son's a fucking stud, he fucks every slut he sees left, right, and center, you know? And then it's like this weird hypocrisy of saying, like, one sex has to go out and fuck to prove their worth, and the other one has to be asexual and not do anything to prove their worth in the eyes of that family's unit.
And as far as these people are concerned, the only sex is between a man and a woman. Dudes don't fuck, girls don't fuck. Now, if they were cool with dudes fucking, it wouldn't be hypocritical necessarily. It'd still be fucked, but at least...
Oh no, my son has to put his dick in women only. I can't go to sleep at night unless I think about that. That my son's penis is going to someone else's vagina. Anything else would make me want to blow my fucking brains out.
But suicide's a sin, so I can't do that.
Oh yeah, but suicide is a sin, so I just have to sit in my office alone in the dark and think about Star Wars.
Yeah, it's so... Oh, these people aren't that cool. They don't care about Star Wars.
That's true. They would never like Star Wars.
Yeah, it's just...
What do they think about? What do they think about in their dark... They think about their daughter.
Yeah, no, like, all of this just comes back to, like, just a very archaic and harmful way of thinking about girls and boys too. Actually, it's just a very archaic and harmful way of thinking about sex and like the roles that those genders have to fill in terms of sex and how they're entirely contradictory.
It doesn't. Yeah. Okay, but let's tie it all back to the main topic at hand, which is like this trans rights violation, and all this is connected in the essence that it's all the promotion and maintenance of ignorance.
Of ignorance and just a very, very particular idea of how the world and how people must be. And if they're not that, then there's something wrong with them and the culture in which they live. And right. It's so... I was thinking about this the other day, like how many rules there are that don't really need to be there. Because it's like, it's just you doing things that harm literally nobody. That affect no one but yourself.
Right.
And maybe somebody else who consents, right? But like that's... It just... I don't know. I'm not sure like what it is that some people feel they have to hold on to in terms of like, you know, how
you
gender
know what
must
I think
be.
it is? You know what I think it is? I think it's like... I think a large portion of it has to be dealt with self-loathing. And
really?
In terms of the people who are promoting these sort of, as you put it, I really like how you put it, archaic values. I think self-loathing and the persistence of continuing perhaps what you experienced when you were younger.
Right.
You know, like oh, I learned it this way, so you have to learn it this way, as opposed to maybe changing it up. No, it has to be exactly how it was when I was growing up, because to me, growing up, that was the perfect time of my life. You know, I would imagine that's how these people would think. Like, oh, when I was young, things were simpler. It made sense, and I did okay. My life was happy, and I want to continue that sort of lifestyle for my family and my children, because that's how I remember it. So I think maybe it's nostalgia and rose-tinted glasses, as well as self-loathing. I say self-loathing for perhaps people who wanted to experiment or have a feeling that they're something they may not know. You know, they could be trans, they could be LGBTQ+, they could be any of these things, or maybe they had the chance to be any of those things, and they couldn't, or maybe they did and they were punished for those things, and or maybe they just never had the opportunity, and it's just led to them feeling like they lost something.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's like the sacrifice, like, oh, I couldn't do this, and now I have this family, and now I have to protect this family, and blah blah blah, and I think that could be a large chunk of it too, of people who grew up in a very unsafe environment and now feel as though they have to maintain and continue that unsafe environment because it's what they know. Yeah,
no, I mean, while I don't think that's all of it, I do think there is a
lot. No, it's definitely not all of it, but I would argue that is perhaps a factor in it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when people really like repress certain feelings and internalize like homophobia and transphobia or whatever the case may be, that
maybe this is the cynic in me, but I think it's very much a product of jealousy, where it's like, how come these people get to live the life I wanted to live? Like yes. I wanted to live this life.
No, that's exactly what I was getting at. Yeah, like they grew up in an environment where they, for whatever reason, did not feel that they could express themselves. But then you have people who are very open about it and are very comfortable with it and are very fine with people knowing about it. If you hear a noise, it's my cat.
Okay.
But who are very comfortable with people knowing about it. It's like, well, wait a minute. I couldn't do that. Why the fuck can they do that? Yeah, no, absolutely. I do think there's an element of that too.
Yeah.
Basically, these ideas harm literally everybody. There's no reason for them to exist. They need to go.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. But
are those your closing thoughts on every? Oh, yeah. I like how this started with you spreading good news, and then I had to bring it down.
I was gonna say, like, for all the shit that's going on, congratulations to Utah and the Utah and Supreme Court for making the right decision, allowing trans people to legally change their name and their gender on their documents. It's validating for them, and also an important kind of step forward in setting a certain precedent for those marginalized group of people. I was gonna tie it back to that.
Yeah, and congrats on Tennessee on continuing to be a shithole state that nobody ever wants to visit.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, Ben Shapiro moved there, so clearly there's something going on.
He moved there?
I think so, yeah.
Even more of a reason not to go to Tennessee. Wow.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, man.
Can you imagine you're walking down the street of Tennessee, and then you see some asshole, somebody taps you on the shoulder, you turn around, it's fucking a little guy in a cowboy hat, and it's like, excuse me, hello, hypothetically, if I were lost, and let's say, for the sake of argument, you could help me find a place, could you help me find the local Home Depot, so I can buy a piece of good wood?
Oh,
what would you do if you saw Ben Shapiro in real life?
I would probably avoid him at all costs.
You would avoid him? You wouldn't yell at him?
Well, what am I gonna say? He's just gonna talk fast at me and then walk away.
Right. You wouldn't throw your milkshake at him?
Is that a reference to something?
No.
Huh. Well, I don't particularly. I feel like if he were involved in anything at all, he'd call the cops and get me arrested for like assault.
Well, that's why you got to run away. Would you
Yeah.
throw a drink at Ben Shapiro and then run away? While giggling?
I don't think I'm above that.
I think that's something we would do.
Yeah, we here. Yeah. Favorite male bonding activities: assaulting Ben Shapiro.
Bullying. You say assaulting. I'm just saying bullying. He's like 40 years old, but anytime I see him, he looks like a little boy.
Yeah.
Fuck Ben Shapiro. Okay, anyway, my turn for news.
What a great note to end it on. Fuck Ben Shapiro.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, and fuck Tennessee. Fuck all that.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about a friend of the show, Ted Cruz.
Oh my god.
So today, Ted Cruz, I have to say, he has not really been in the limelight ever since he ran away from America. He ran away from Texas during one of its largest crises. And went on vacation to, where did he go? Like Cancun. He's not really done anything.
Yeah.
Have you heard from him recently? Because if he has, it hasn't been controversial enough for people to care.
I mean, there was something not too long after all that happened where like he was filming something on the Mexican border and pretending like he gave a shit about like the humanitarian issues when like he actively supported Trump doing it. Like it didn't really gain too much media attention, but it's just something I saw. Aside from that, no, I haven't heard anything about him, and I've never been happier.
Well, I want to. I guess he decided today was a good day to do some sweet fuckery, because he tweeted out a very interesting tweet, where he retweeted a video with his caption being, "Holy crap, perhaps a woke, emasculated military is not the best idea." Now, what does he mean by this when talking about our troops? The video he posted are two videos spliced together. One is a Russian recruitment ad. The other one is a United States recruitment ad. The Russian recruitment ad is a video of men... Of like very alpha male looking dudes fucking loading bullets into guns, walking in a straight line, and fucking with like a really intense, doing pull-ups and sit-ups and push-ups, and a really intense narrator speaking in Russian, basically probably saying like this is the fucking experience of a lifetime. Go out and kill people for money. You can do it. I can do it. Fucking load the bullet in the gun and pull the trigger. Join the army, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then it cut to the American ad, which is like, I'm a girl, and I grew up promoting civil rights, and I love life, and I'm great, and I'm supporting and I joined the military because it's what I believe in.
It's a woman.
And it's a woman. It's a woman. That's kind of the big thing that's been going on. It's a woman. Oh my God! It's basically saying like, the United States military, it's lost its alpha male status.
Isn't
it's
it
a
like
piece
3 times larger than any other military in existence? Like,
hold on, let's not bring up that fact because that's bad for people to know. Let's just focus on this. It's just like this sort of weird. Okay, first off, I don't think it's we kind of mentioned this last week with the CIA video. It's very much a double-edged sword because on one hand, I don't like how the military and the armed forces are using like progressive language and visuals to try to come off as very approachable places when all they really need are more people to help them commit atrocities.
Right.
Like, it's just trying to trick more people into doing shitty things.
Right. And make them seem like they're out-lefting you. It's like, oh, you don't like war? Well, I'm okay with women, so get fucked. Like,
yeah, killing children is bad, but not unless a pregnant POC mother of 12 does it.
More
then it's
female
okay.
drone pilots.
Hit him with the classic, Jonah. Yeah, so on one hand, I don't like that. I don't like how the military and armed forces are trying to use woke, or not. I don't like using the word woke, but progressive
language, I guess.
Marketing to trick people. But I also don't like how people are saying that's necessarily that's a bad thing. You know, it's like, oh, women in the military? Oh, no, thank you. Women can't be soldiers. Gay people can't be soldiers. That's terrible.
Straight, cis men. And
we just need more men. We need more men. Where are our men? Where have our men gone? Jonah?
Isn't 2021 like it? Isn't kind of
isn't 2021? Like you 2020. 2021's literally white boy summer, Jonah. If there's any time to be a man, it's now.
No, because unironically, like, you can get away with being transphobic. You can get away with being homophobic. You can even get away with being racist if you dog whistle it enough. I feel like sexism that open, I feel like it's kind of hard to get away with nowadays. I'm a little surprised he did that.
Like, this is also the guy who didn't defend his wife when the president of the United States called her an ugly dog.
That's that's true.
Yeah, so I don't think this is necessarily the guy to look at for a progressive attitude towards women.
I know. I'm just a little surprising. I didn't think he'd be that mask off in terms of sexism. I
just don't get it. That's okay, but that's a good topic for us to expand into. Why? I guess maybe we can once again delve back into incel culture. This is the horny episode after all,
right?
And who is hornier than the incels? Why? Because that's a community that very much is sexist because it places a lot of blame towards women, and we sort of talked about it before. Oh, I wanted to bring this up because we brought it up in I think episode 1 where we were talking about incel culture, and we were talking about how women didn't. Like I think a lot of incels are the way they are or exist now because women have more options. I believe that's how I put it in terms of finding a partner, right? I heard it in a completely different way that made 10 times more sense. It's like something I'm like, oh, that's so simple but perfect, because I'm thinking like, oh, now women can date whoever they want, and they instead of having to settle down. Somebody's mentioned like, something I didn't even consider because it's so old fashioned that I wouldn't consider it based on the world we live in now.
Right.
But there was a time period in which a woman's worth was based entirely on getting a husband. And any security she would have is based on getting a husband and having a family.
And
in terms of
now, I mean, she doesn't.
Now
need
women
a
can work. Now women can work and have careers and do anything, so they don't need men.
Right. They might want men, but they don't need them for their own like.
Oh, they
stability.
don't need men to. They don't need. I say they don't need men because they don't need men to actually live a fucking decent life now.
Right.
And I when I heard that, I'm like, that's exactly what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, that's the problem with these fucking people, that they're trying to they're the creation of an entire group of people being able to become independent and do shit on their own.
Right.
And they're just pissed off at it. But okay, that was a little tangent I want to go on. But the point, let's talk about what I originally want to get at. Like, why do you think there is a more rampant sexism nowadays?
I'm not really sure. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Like, I mean, I don't know. Donald Trump definitely dog whistled a lot about a lot of groups. I think, in particular, people of color and Muslims. So in that sense, it's not really hard to see why he or why there is a spike in, like, you know, white nationalist action, for example, and like action. It's more like terrorism, but in terms of women, I mean, he did dog whistle about women, but I don't think that was even like a main focus. I'm not really sure. Like, do you think there's like a spike?
Yeah, I think there is. It's. I sort of mentioned it with like incel culture. I would imagine that's a huge spike. Okay. Because they literally blame women for all of their troubles.
Well, yeah, but they existed, you know, long before recently, you know?
Right. I don't know, but it's for me. Maybe it's just my perspective, but it just seems to be getting like a larger and larger group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I boring you?
No, sorry. I'm very tired. I do not have a good sleep schedule.
Oh wow, damn, dude. Great. Now I lost my train of thought because you were too busy yawning on our fucking horny episode of the podcast.
Incels, hating women, spiking that.
Oh yeah, I think it's exactly what we were getting at with the trans thing. I think it's also just a reactionary attitude towards progressivism.
Yeah, I mean, especially since, like, you know, for as much as I don't like Joe Biden, he is undoubtedly better with like social issues than any Republican. So I mean, like, having him and like the Democrats in control, yeah, there is definitely more of a push for like, at the very least, performative social progressivism. You know,
right?
So yeah, and you do have like a lot of reactionaries that are making a big stink about it. Oh, did you hear about Billie Eilish and like what she said in an interview?
Oh, something about guys, right? I read it. I just don't remember it.
Yeah, it's like she basically was like, you know, men are weak in the sense that like they can't control themselves if women are in a dress. Like, go masturbate and stop whining about it or something.
That's based as hell.
Yeah. It's like, and by the way, we're not, just to clarify for people, we're not saying men are inherently weak. We're saying that the excuses made for men's toxic behavior imply that they're weak. Like, oh, you just simply can't.
That whole thing.
You simply just like can't control yourself if a woman's wearing something skimpy. Like, that's kind of pathetic, essentially.
Yeah,
that was her point. It was pretty obvious that was her point if you actually read the whole thing she said.
Right. I was just about to say the same exact thing. I think it's just what is it? A loss or lack of maturity, where you just can't you can't fucking handle somebody of the opposite sex just living their life the way they want to, or just portraying themselves how they want to be portrayed.
Right. And I bring that up because like a lot of like conservative commentators like Steven Crowder, like fucking whined about how like, oh yeah, well, you say men are weak, but men invented things. Like it's what? You say something?
I don't know. It's just like I really that's another conservative hypocrisy where it's like the prude girl versus the slut, you know, and how every girl are one of the two at any moment.
Right.
You know, like, oh, if you fuck this person, you're a fucking slut. It's like, oh, you don't want to fuck me, then you're a fucking prude.
Yep.
And then it's like, it's a whole negative fucking attitude and very, what's the word? I don't know. It just fucking sucks.
Right.
Anyway, horny episode.
Yeah, woo!
Woo! Let's fuck.
Oh man. So do you have anything else to say on that particular topic?
Ted Cruz retweeted porn on 9/11.
Oh, he did?
Okay.
Wait, did he really?
Yeah, you don't know about that? You don't know about that?
No.
That's the best thing he ever did. On 9/11, 2018, 9/11. The only thing he had to say about 9/11 was he accidentally retweeted incest porn.
Oh man, how's he so? No, whatever. Anyway,
What? No.
I was going to ask how is he just me? Is it just me, or does he seem particularly stupid?
He is stupid. I have no clue how he keeps winning in Texas.
Yeah, like there's people like McConnell, where like I think McConnell's like a bad person, but he's not dumb. See, Ted Cruz is both a bad person and he's phenomenally stupid and incompetent at what he does.
Well, in the famous words of SpongeBob and Patrick Star, it's like, when am I stupid? No, I'm Texas. What's the difference?
Speaking of Texas, my story revolves around Texas being stupid. So they just passed a new abortion bill.
Hell yeah.
That essentially bans abortions after 6 weeks.
Awesome.
And a couple problems with that. The main one being that a lot of women don't even know they're pregnant by that time. Because at that point, you've only missed one period, right? And so... Yeah. And the 6 weeks, by the way, is when the baby starts getting a heartbeat.
Okay.
And yeah. The problem here is not only is it essentially outlawing abortions outright, like de facto, because of the fact that most women don't know they're pregnant by that time.
Yes.
But the way in which that law is being implemented is very interesting. Normally, when there is an anti-abortion bill, the actual attorney general of the state enforces it.
Okay.
But now, it doesn't appear as though with this bill that's the case. What they're doing is they're giving private citizens the ability to sue abortion clinics. So essentially, instead of the state enforcing the law, they're giving private citizens the ability to do so. And the idea is that if the state itself is not enforcing it, then it might have an easier time getting upheld in court. Now, people aren't really sure whether or not that's true, but it's quite sinister that they're trying. I mean, listen. Women have the right to take control of their own reproductive health.
What?
Like simple as that. They just do. I mean, even if you're morally opposed to the idea of abortion, like women have the right to control their own bodies, control their own reproductive health. End of story. They do.
Of course.
And it is interesting because I mean.
I don't get that. I don't get how, like, the whole pro-life thing at all. Because it's not even a human being. It's just a fucking xenomorph growing inside some person.
Well, you know, see, they want to protect that life at all costs, but then once it's born, it's like you don't get health care.
Oh yeah, they'll treat it like shit.
You don't get education. You're going to go off to war to kill brown people or get killed yourself.
You know what? It's just another tactic to oppress another group of people.
Yep. And I, honestly, on some level, I can't blame them in the sense that is probably one of the biggest sources of fundraising for the Republican Party. Their constant, incessant insistence that they're going to overturn Roe v. Wade, which they won't. Like,
Why? I guess. Okay, let's think of the people who would support such a thing. I guess religious fundamentalists who
Yep.
believe every fucking drop of sperm is precious.
Yeah.
Every sperm and every egg has to be collected and saved for a beautiful new day. But who else? I guess it's mainly religious people, isn't it?
Yeah. Or like, I guess just somebody who. Yeah, I don't know.
God, I just wish we could go back to the good old days where if my daughter got pregnant, we would just let her have the baby, and then I would just raise it as my own kid, and then we'd just lie to the kid and say that they're sisters instead of like mom and child. I don't know why we can't go back to that time.
My God.
That's the American way, Jonah.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Did you know Jack Nicholson? That's exactly what happened with him.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he thought his sister, his mom pretended to be his sister his whole childhood.
Wow. Huh.
And that's what the horny episode's all about for the State-Sanctioned podcast. We're trying to bring that back.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no.
We're trying to impregnate as many women as possible.
Yeah, so far this whole horny episode has been about women and women's rights. So, you know,
so we're
on brand. We're on brand right now.
We're really subverting expectations. To be like, this is the horny episode, guys. And then we're like, yeah, women deserve to get abortions and just do whatever the hell they want.
And join the military, yeah.
And join the military and, you know, whatever.
Yeah, but
trans people can use whatever bathroom they can. But anyway, let's fuck.
Yeah, listen, we're just being like base Chads. And honestly, that's the best kind of Chad.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, did you know the alternate name for this podcast was going to be Alpha Cast?
That's funny.
That's cringe.
Yes, but it is funny. Yeah. So
okay, let's back to abortion.
Yeah. So it's just. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going to happen with this. It's being fought as it should be. This is a pretty blatant violation of women's rights and the right of a woman to control her body and her reproductive health and yada yada. But yeah, the fact that like it's essentially making private citizens like attorney generals in how this law is enforced, it's very interesting, and yeah. I do want to see how this holds up in court. I hope it gets overturned, of course, but yeah, it's wild, like the lengths that these people will go to for abortion, for like trying to save a life that's barely life at the expense of teenage girls and grown ass women.
Yeah.
Like,
but okay, let's talk about this. If they do go through with it, it's just going to lead to a rise of not illegal, what's the word? Unlicensed or just dangerous abortions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People who will just avoid or even lose access to the safer professional and medical practice to seek out a more desperate alternative.
There is virtually no difference in rates of abortion between countries where it's legal and countries where it's not.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
If people desperately want it, they'll get it. It's just a matter of saying it out in the open and doing it in private. That's another fucking thing. That just clicked in my brain. That's another fucking thing people seem to have. That's like a covert kind of like crisis in America of I think a lot of people are pissed off because now things can be done out in the open when before everything had to be subtle and private. We kind of alluded to it with the trans thing, but I think that's what it is. It's just this anger that perhaps some or anger or even like promotion of fucking tradition or family values, where instead of just living the life you want to live or doing the things you want to do and just saying it out in the open and it's fine, it's like, no, you do all this shit in private and we don't have to acknowledge it or talk about it, because then that would hurt my fucking little brain and perception of the world.
I think I mentioned this to you before we started recording, but you know how like when somebody will come out on social media as LGBT, and then you'll have somebody with like the Bible verses in their bio responding like a fucking 5-paragraph MLA citation essay about how nobody cares that they're gay or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's that like I don't care. Just don't shove it.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care so much that I'm going to tell you all about how I don't care.
Yeah, just don't shove it down my throat by making a public post that wasn't about me. You know, like it's it's just the fact that people are open and they are able to be proud of certain things, or even in the case of abortion where they're just like able to just do it legally. It's cover for people just hiding certain prejudices they have, internalized or otherwise.
I'm not even thinking like prejudice. I'm just thinking like people. I guess some people just wish others would just keep it to themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like if you just wish people.
Because there are cultures where like that's their attitude towards like members of the LGBTQ plus. So you could do it as long as you do it in private.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's only when you're out and about that it's like a negative thing. It's kind of like the idea of like breaking a law, in which everyone's okay if you did it really, unless you did something absolutely horrible. But like it's okay if you did it if you didn't get caught. Right? But then when you do yawn number 2, get the yawn meter up. But if you do get caught, then everyone's like, "Oh, you fucking dumbass, you idiot, blah blah blah." But if you get away with it, everybody's like, "Oh, you're a fucking hero. You're a fucking legend, dude."
Yeah.
I can't believe you stole those jelly beans from Walmart. You're a fucking hero, dude.
Yeah, it's no, that is an interesting point of like people just want. It's again going back to the rules that don't need to be there. Like everybody wants it to be so that like you keep everything under wraps. And just have us pretend like everything's normal, or pretend like everything is a particular way when it's not. It's like it's just not. That's not sustainable in the long term. That's not healthy. It's not fair to expect that of people. But yeah, no, there definitely are people that like think that that's how it has to be. Maybe because that's how they were raised, like they had to repress certain aspects of themselves, or I don't know. Maybe they just are fucking like sexist or bigoted in some other way and just don't want to see it.
They're just prejudiced.
Yep. Yeah.
Anyway, women should be able to get abortions.
Yeah, women are cool. Women deserve rights.
Yeah, women deserve to just, do whatever the fuck they want to do with their body.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought that your own you have you have the control over your own fucking human body?
Yeah. But Louis, the clump of cells. What about the clump of cells that doesn't have a nervous system until the first trimester?
What about the guy from the fucking desert from 2,000 years ago that doesn't look at all in reality of the drawing I have in my living room of him?
Yeah, Jesus was born in the Middle East. He wasn't fucking white.
No, Jonah. He looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. Oh, no, No, yeah, he looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. Well, Obi-Wan Kenobi was born a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Predates Jesus.
Yeah.
Asshole.
Honestly, I really hope it's Star Wars canon that Obi-Wan is older than Jesus.
Obi-Wan is Jesus. That'd be so funny if George Lucas holds a press conference, first one in years. Just his podium, and he's like a mile away, and the camera just locked on him walking at a gingerly pace. It takes like half an hour for him to make it to the podium,
right?
And then he makes it to the podium, and he just like, I just wanted to say, Obi-Wan Kenobi is canonically older than Jesus. And then he leaves.
No explanation.
He walks back the direction he came, and the camera films him for another half hour. Well, all right. I really love it when you cap off all my jokes without laughing and just saying, "Yeah, that's funny, dude." It really makes me feel good.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right. So women are cool. Let women control their bodies and. Yeah, Texas is stupid, as we've already established.
Yeah, Texas is dumb. SpongeBob said so. Yeah. Okay. Final piece of news. The Trump Organization is now under investigation. Official investigation. Criminal investigation, if you will.
Ooh.
Between with a new collaboration of state and local offices in New York, with the Attorney General and the District Attorney working together on this case. They're essentially looking at the distribution of money, specifically the idea of hush money. They're looking at insurance and taxes, specifically fraud. And yeah, it's not looking good. I think it went from like just a simple like looky-loo into a full blown out like some ain't right here. And now they're doing a full widespread investigation. So now we brought this up before the show because Donald Trump released a very rational reaction to this. And we were talking about how if you want to learn anything about the former president of the United States of America, if you want to learn anything about him nowadays, you have to go onto his fucking blog. You have to go onto his MySpace page.
Yeah. His donaldjtrump.com/desk. This, by the way, was the groundbreaking social media site that he was launching. Remember when they hyped the fuck out of this?
This is the most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my life. You went from being the most powerful man in the free world to now being a fucking blogger. Can you imagine that?
Oh my god. I'm looking at his blog. One of them is literally just a screenshot of Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity tweet. Like,
let me see this shit. Because there's the big one. I want to. What else has he said? He said a lot of weird shit.
He posts on this as often as he used to tweet. Holy shit!
This is just his new Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this one. May 15th. As our country is being destroyed both inside and out, the presidential election 2020 will go down as the crime of the century. This was 6 fucking days ago, and he's still whining about it.
Oh my god.
Okay. I want to just go through his reaction to the Trump Organization being investigated, because it is a whole soliloquy.
Do you want me to read it in my Trump voice?
Please do. Go ahead.
I have just learned through leaks in the mainstream media that after being under investigation, the time I came down that escalator 5.5 years ago, including...
First off, no, hold up. Stop right there. That is the most perfect way to open up your big political statement. It's like, when I came down that escalator 5.5 years ago, we knew big things were going to happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Including the fake Russia hoax, the 2-year, $48 million, no collusion, Mueller witch hunt, impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2. That wasn't really... That one was actually more of not.
How are they hoaxes? How are they hoaxes?
Especially the second one.
Happen?
Especially the second one. Oh my god. Whatever. Anyway, and others. That the Democrat New York Attorney General has informed my organization.
I really like how both of his impeachments had substantial evidence, and he still beat him both times.
Yeah. Well, he needs 2/3.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay, Trump, go nuts.
Has informed my organization that their investigation is no longer just a civil matter, but also potentially a criminal investigation, working with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. There is nothing more corrupt than an investigation that is in a desperate search of a crime. But make no mistake, that is exactly what is happening here. The Attorney General of New York literally campaigned on prosecuting Donald Trump before she even knew anything about me. She said that if elected, she would use her office.
I like how he's referring to himself in the third person.
Yeah. Well, classic narcissist, I guess. She said that if elected, she would use her office to look into every aspect of my real estate dealings. She swore that she would definitely sue me. She boasted on video that she would be, and I quote, a real pain in the ass.
This guy's a fucking psychopath.
He's a loser, too. Like, oh my
god.
This is just full-on cope. She declared, just wait until I'm in the Attorney General's office, and I've got eyes on Trump Tower. She also promised that if elected, she would join with law enforcement and other attorney generals across this nation in removing this president from office. And it's important that everyone understand that the days of Donald Trump are coming to an end. The attorney general made these statements not after having had an opportunity to actually look at the facts, but before she was even elected.
You gotta scream before. It's in all caps.
Yeah. But before she was elected.
There we go.
Before she had seen even a shred of evidence. This is so long. Jesus fucking Christ.
I know.
What?
This is like Elliot Rodgers' Manifesto.
You want me to read all of this?
Yeah, and then after I'll read some of Elliot. I'll take it from here. Let me just pull up Elliot Rodgers' Manifesto real quick, and it'll be the same exact thing.
Here, should I just keep reading?
Yeah, I'll tell you when I'll cut in.
All right, this is something that happens in failed third world countries, not the United States. If you can run for prosecutor's office, pledging to take out your enemies, and can be elected to that job by partisan voters who wish to enact political retribution, then we're no longer a free constitutional democracy. Likewise, the district attorney's office has been going after me for years based on a lying, discredited lowlife who has not
here
listened.
We go.
Okay.
Here, I'm going to take it from here. This is what Donald Trump had to say. Humanity, all of my suffering on this world has been at the hands of humanity, particularly women. It has made me realize just how brutal and twisted humanity is as a species. All I ever wanted was to fit in and live a happy life amongst humanity, but I was cast out and rejected, forced to endure an existence of loneliness and insignificance, all because the females of the human species were incapable of seeing the value in me. This is the story of how I, Donald J. Trump, came to be. This is the story of my entire life. It is a dark story of sadness, anger, and hatred. It is a story of a war against cruel injustice. In this magnificent story, I will disclose every single detail about my life, every single significant experience that I have pulled from my superior memory, as well as how those experiences have shaped my views of the world. This tragedy did not have to happen. I didn't want things to turn out this way, but humanity forced my hand, and the story will explain why. My life didn't start out dark and twisted. I started out as a happy and blissful child, living my life to the fullest in a world I thought was good and pure.
Oh my God.
That's pretty much the same exact type of tone.
Yeah, no, this is like whining, cope. Everyone's problems are my problems are everyone else's fault. Yeah.
You know what we should do? We should we should copy Elliot Rodgers' Manifesto, replace his name with Donald Trump's, and then make an edit of like from the desk of Donald Trump, and then just put it in.
That would be hilarious. Yes, we should do that.
That would be funny.
All right, do you want to finish reading this?
Oh yeah, let me finish this manifesto. It's only 78,000 pages long. I'm just trying to find the part where he talks about... I can't find it. There's this weird part where he talks about his sister fucking in the room right next to him, and how it pissed him off.
Oh. It sounds like a very well-adjusted person.
Do you not know who Elliot Rodgers is?
Yeah, he's the guy that killed a bunch of women at his college campus, right?
No, he tried to kill a bunch of women at his college campus.
Oh, okay.
It's so funny what happened. He woke up one day and it's like, today's the day to kill the women. So he went to the local sorority with a knife and he knocked on the door. He knocked on the front door so he could get in, and nobody was home. and then he just killed some random person walking down the street.
What?
And then he panicked. And then he crashed his car into like a 7-Eleven. And then he killed 2 other random people. And then when the cops were getting close, then he killed himself. So he didn't even do anything he set out to do that day. Because he's a fucking loser failure.
Wait, don't incels like idolize Elliot Rodgers?
Which is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they do.
Who would have thought that Incel Prime would be a fucking loser?
Dude, the funniest video on the internet is of him, where he drove out into the middle of nowhere. I remember I used to show this to everybody in high school. He drives out to the middle of nowhere, and he parks his car in one spot, and he puts his camera on a tripod, and then just him talking to the camera, and he's like, "I just don't get why girls do not like me. Look at me, I'm fabulous." And he just stretches his arms out and just like pointing to himself. It's like, "Look at me, I'm fabulous." And then
I think you've shown me this.
Oh, okay. And then he puts like his sunglasses down. And then he just continues to talk about how great he is.
Yeah.
And then, but he has to stop talking every like 2 minutes because a car drives by. Oh, that guy's a psycho. Well, he was a psychopath.
Yeah.
Well, that's the reason why I brought up his manifesto, because like this type of language and just delusion in Donald Trump's kind of rhetoric here is just ludicrous. It's on par.
Yeah,
with the rhetoric of an insane incel murderer.
Yeah, I mean, Donald Trump, textbook narcissist, thinks all of his problems are everyone else's fault. Do you think he actually believes what he's saying, actually, or do you think this is all a you know?
I think in the beginning he did. Yeah, or no, I think he didn't. I think he was just saying whatever. I think he believes it now because
you
now
think
it's like you live a lie for so long that you become the lie.
Like he's just so pathological.
No, I think in the beginning, like he's just saying whatever because he just wanted to win. And then when he actually won and he became president, he built up like an entire fan base of sorts. And this is a fan base that's just shouting all the things he's saying back to him.
Yeah.
And then it's just him having to double down on these things. And then when you maintain the lie for so long, you believe the lie. And now here he is believing himself to be the person they say he is.
Right. And by the way, like this is super fucking long. I didn't even read half of it.
No, well, let's not read all of this. It's just bullshit. Yeah. It's just him saying the investigation is phony and that he's actually the greatest human being who ever fucking lived in the entire fucking world, and that we need him to run again so we can save America.
You know, it's when he was president, this didn't seem as weird because like it's just something you heard every single fucking day. Like now that
it's just sad old man yells at cloud now.
Yes, yeah.
That's all it is.
Yes, it's just, and you can see it really for what it is, and it's so anybody who's not like a diehard Trump fan is just it's so sad, you know, like
why? But why is it that people still cling on to him, even now in his lowest point? People are clinging. I can understand people in government. They're not clinging on to him, they're clinging on to his rhetoric.
Yeah.
They want to continue to spew his messaging because they see how effective it is at gaining a following. Like that's what they're doing. But in terms of like people who genuinely just support, they don't care about all the other politicians, the people who just care about Donald Trump. Even now, why do they like still think like, oh, this is the guy, even though he's cue the guts theme, like he's just a fucking sad sap now.
Well, I've heard a lot of people who study cults say that Trump's rhetoric and his way of gathering a base is extremely cult-like.
Well, it is just the cult of personality.
Right. I mean, the number one thing really was like isolation. Like, the way he's probably the single most partisan president we've ever had. Right.
It's like when he was being impeached the first time, and he retweeted a fucking meme, or no, he made the meme. Somebody made him the meme. Where when he got impeached, he posted a meme of himself. It was just a picture of like a black and white photo of him looking serious, and it says like, they want to stop me because they want to stop you, or something like that.
Yeah.
Basically, like they're attacking me because they're trying to attack you.
Like I'm the only thing standing in their way to get to you. Like essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's just.
I remember that was like a weird thing because I remember that was like his only reaction to getting impeached the first time because he just pinned it onto his Twitter.
I think that he is just really I don't know. I'm trying to think like what it is.
I want to say this too.
What
I want to say this too. I don't want to because we talk about him a lot. Not a lot. We haven't talked about him every episode, but we've brought him up. I think people have to realize, people, I would imagine some people would be like, you got to move on. He's no longer president. People have to realize how significant he is to American history and culture, especially in this moment in time, because he really just reflects the awfulness of things happening in the modern day. And it's a really interesting thing to analyze as to why something so horrid and decrepit and nonsensical is appealing to others, and it is becoming a fixture in a world where I don't think it would have existed merely a few years ago.
Yeah, and I think also, like, this does not end with Trump. Trump may be out of office. God forbid he never gets into office again. There are people...
I don't think he'll run again.
I don't know. I'm still 50-50 in the issue. But yeah, there are people who are probably even better at this than Trump is, who will take advantage of the cults of personality that he has accrued. Because really, Trump's main thing was dog whistling, and more dog whistling, right? It was about essentially bringing out the worst in the American people. And I'm not saying everybody who supported him is like an awful person or racist or whatever, but definitely that was a pretty big chunk of like his diehard base. And if not him, it will be somebody else. So even if you're saying like, oh, well, why are you still talking about him? It's over. He lost. He lost. Trumpism did not. And I think that's incredibly, like, it's something to remember. Like, we can't ever let our guard down with people like him. No,
and it's also just like, as I said earlier, it's also just a very interesting thing to analyze and discuss.
Yeah, definitely. If nothing else, there is just a fascination with him and what he was able to do.
It's like why I'm so interested in Christine Weston Chandler.
Yeah,
because it's just like it's this huge outlier that exists, and it's I want to know.
Louis finds Christine Weston Chandler very interesting.
I really do. They're the most documented person in human history.
Yeah,
that was the piece of knowledge that made me interested in them in the first place.
Really?
Because I was listening to a podcast when I was like 15, and they were joking about Christine. And they mentioned that they're the most documented person in human history. And I'm like, and when I heard them, I'm like, well, who the hell is this person then? And then that led to my fascination.
Wow.
But it's what I was saying. It's like, it's this weird outlier that's part of the culture. And they should not be part of the culture for any logical reason, yet they are. And you're just got to sit there and ask yourself, well, why?
Right.
And then that's where the interest comes in, because you're just trying to wrap your head around what's so fascinating about this.
Yeah. All right. Do you have any closing thoughts, or do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Dude, you're burning the candle at both ends tonight. I can tell. The horny episode really knocked it out of you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I do find it very funny that we're ending the horny episode by talking about Donald Trump.
And Christine Weston Chandler.
Yeah, the pinnacle of.
Wait, is there a Photoshop photo of Chris Chan and Trump together? Because then that's going to be the thumbnail.
Perfect.
No, that's disappointing. I was so hoping there was going to be a photo of just the two of them hanging out, but no, unfortunately, there is not. Well, all right, Jonah, you wanna close out the episode?
Sure. So this was episode 5 of the State-Sanctioned podcast, the horny special, apparently.
The horny episode.
The horny episode, apparently. Thank you very much for watching. Tune in next week when we're
next week. We may have a special guest next week.
Oh yes, we might. That is true. Yeah, we might have a special guest, so that will be very exciting. Anyway. Stay tuned next week, and thank you very much for listening. And
you can find Jonah at Nowhere,
yeah,
and then you can find me at Louis Southard or at Louis J Southard.
Oh yeah, we should probably plug the social media, shouldn't we? The subreddit for this show is r/the State Sank podcast, SANC podcast. The Twitter is at Sanctioned Show. And obviously you're chilling here at our YouTube channel, the State-Sanctioned podcast. Am I missing anything?
No.
No? Okay.
So to cap off the horny episode, I'd like all of our listeners to close their eyes and imagine this. Jonah slides his index finger across your lips and then pushes it into your mouth, and then tickles not your tongue, but the gummy part underneath your tongue. Okay, cap it off there.